On today's episode, I'm talking about a sneaky little culprit that 100% is affecting your life in negative ways. But the good news is you have 100% control over it. So if you want to find out what it is, stick around. Let's do this. Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Show Up with Gentry. I am Gentry, and this is the space where we figure out how to show up for life together, grow as humans so we can propel this thing called humanity forward. So what is this little culprit that I'm talking about that has the potential to run your life or ruin your life, depending on your perspective? Unexpressed expectations. They will silently and happily keep you miserable for the rest of your life unless you learn to recognize them, remove them, or reframe them into expectancy. My own journey with expectations really started when I was pretty young because I was made fun of a lot and picked on. I was picked on for my name. I was picked on because I liked art more than I liked sports, and I wanted to play by myself at recess instead of play basketball. I lived expecting to be hated, and it started to just turn me into a really, really insecure, unstable person. And I carried that well into my adult years. And it wasn't until I had this revelation that my insecurities were caused by expectations that I had put on other people. And when I began to unpack this and realize, I started to think so many things in life are caused by expectations we have on other people. So much frustration, so much resentment, so much anger, so much disappointment. But it's not just expectations, it's the unexpressed expectations, the ones that no one else knows we have. Those are the ones that are wreaking havoc on our lives. And those are the ones we need to get under control. Let me explain to you what I mean by unexpressed expectations. It's when you think, want, or believe something is going to go the way you think, want, or believe, but you never actually communicated it. And so it just remains this unexpressed expectation that you're kind of keeping to yourself. Typically, we have expectations on ourselves, we have expectations on other people, or we have expectations on some sort of situation, which could be everything from how you expected your family vacation to go or how you expected the meeting with your boss to go. So sometimes we don't even realize that we have these expectations. Sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't. And so we don't even know that we should be paying attention to them because we don't understand the impact that having expectations that go unexpressed has on our life. But here's the kicker, guys. Now that I'm telling you that you need to pay attention to the expectations that you have, now that you know, you don't really have that excuse anymore. So, you're welcome. I'm going to walk you through what happens when you create an expectation that goes unexpressed, because something really important happens that you need to be aware of. What happens is when you create the expectation, you, in that moment, whether you know it or not, you are giving yourself permission to feel and react a certain way in the future, depending on whether or not that expectation is met. You're predetermining your response. Now, this expectation is calling the shots in your life. You just relinquished responsibility, but that also means that you've relinquished your ability to manage your internal mental well-being. And many times, this is just happening in the background. There are so many side effects to having these expectations that go unexpressed. And I think one of the biggest ones is that these expectations create victims. First, when an expectation goes unmet, you become the victim in your story. right? How twisted is that? You had this expectation, you didn't express it, this person let you down, and now you have permission to feel angry and disappointed and upset and frustrated, and now you feel entitled to be the victim in this little story that you're creating. You somehow feel like it's okay to shift blame onto someone else, to pass on the responsibility for how you feel onto someone else. But do you realize when you trace it back, it starts with you. You're the one who set the expectation. And now, because it wasn't expressed and so it went unmet, now you're this victim in your story. But the weird thing about these expectations is it not only makes you a victim, it also makes the person you have the expectations on a victim as well. They're just some helpless victim now in your story, and you get to throw all of your negative emotions at them. All of your anger, all of your frustration, all of your disappointment, you're suddenly throwing that, you're hurling it at this person who is like a deer in the headlights. Whoa, where is this coming from? It's coming from these unexpressed, unmet expectations that you're forming. Just the other day, my wife and I, we got into a little bit of an argument, and we were kind of going back and forth on a few things, and then finally we realized, I'm expecting this of you, and you're expecting this of me, and we're not communicating these expectations, and so we're just constantly like overlapping in our frustration towards the other person. This happens when you're at work and you have an expectation, let's say, that you're going to get a raise. And so you go to meet with your boss and you're expecting him to sing your praises and just offer you a raise, and then suddenly it doesn't happen and you're angry at your boss. Why are you angry at your boss? Because of the expectation. I'm telling you, you can trace so much of the negative emotional experiences you have back to this expectation that you've created. Another side effect of unexpressed expectations is selfishness. You're determining what you want. You're determining how you want things to go. You're determining the way things need to be. It is the world according to me. And that all comes out in the form of expectations. Okay. I can hear you asking me the question. Are you telling me I shouldn't have expectations? No. But I am telling you that if you're going to have expectations, you need to communicate them. But when you communicate them, you have to be open to receive feedback, to receive clarity, to have that person say to you, I understand that this is an expectation, but that's not something that I'm able to give to you. That's harder. That requires more of you. It requires a lowering of that selfishness. It requires a release of, I'm going to be a victim if this doesn't go the way I want. But there's something more to consider. Something more that I want to propose to you. Instead of expectations, why don't you live a life of expectancy? Because expectancy is when you think, want, hope, or believe that things will work out in a good way or have a pleasurable, desirable outcome. It is the antidote for unhealthy expectations because it's choosing to see and call out the good in humanity. It calls people to a higher level. It calls situations to a higher level. Instead of giving yourself permission for future disappointment and future victimization, you're actually calling something greater out of people and situations proactively. And if I knew that someone was expecting that good outcome from me, that would motivate me, that would inspire me, that would encourage me to meet that. That's why I love a life of expectancy versus expectations. Because expectancy brings people up. It's a much better option. Okay, so maybe you're thinking, I think that I have a lot of expectations that I'm not communicating. Now I don't know what to do. You're gonna have to dig deep. You're gonna have to fight natural tendencies to see yourself as the victim. You're going to have to fight natural tendencies to blame. And you are gonna have to call yourself to a higher level. This started to happen in my own life when I started to realize that the expectations I had that I wasn't expressing, they were really, really contributing to all kinds of anger, all kinds of frustration, all kinds of disappointment, all kinds of resentment. And I really had to check myself and realize that I was responsible for creating that expectation in the first place. The person who didn't meet my expectations didn't make me feel disappointed, didn't make me feel angry, didn't make me feel frustrated. No, it's just that I said if they don't meet this expectation, I'm giving myself permission to feel those things. Chew on that one for a while. We'll talk more about that in a future episode. If you can learn how to manage your own expectations and kind of become a master of them, you're going to save yourself a lot of trouble. You got to do the work. You got to show up. You got to show up and look at yourself and figure out where your expectations are unexpressed, unrealistic, and really, really unhelpful to creating the kind of life that I know you want to live. My friends, if you like this, do me a favor. You know what I'm going to say. Subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. Share this video with your friends. All of it helps to spread this message and to help with this mission that I'm on, to create a community of people who want to grow as humans so we can propel humanity forward. That's what we're doing. So if you want to join us, I have a free Facebook group. The link will be in the description and you can click on that, join us, and that's where we're building this community. As always, keep an open mind, open hands, open heart, and stay curious.